Karen kept stealing my packages, so I rigged a glitter bomb to teach her a lesson. It all started in the quiet, seemingly perfect neighborhood governed by the HOA, where lawns were perfectly manicured, and everyone followed the rules at least on the surface. The community was tight-knit, but like any other neighborhood, there were a few oddities. People kept to themselves, rarely straying from their routines, but there was something that didn't sit right with me. For weeks, my packages had been going missing. It began subtly at first, with one or two small deliveries vanishing from my doorstep. I thought it was just a mistake. Maybe the delivery driver had misdelivered them, or perhaps I had misplaced them. But as the weeks passed, it became impossible to ignore the pattern. My packages, sometimes valuable items I'd ordered online, were nowhere to be found. It wasn't just happening to me either. I started hearing similar complaints from neighbors, but no one seemed to be able to figure out what was going on. Some residents even blamed the delivery services for being careless, but I knew it couldn't just be a coincidence anymore. I started paying closer attention, watching my doorstep, hoping to catch a glimpse of who was responsible. I noticed that the times my packages disappeared were getting closer together, and it was starting to feel like more than just bad luck. One evening, after receiving a notification that another package was left on my porch, I rushed home to find it missing again. That's when I began to wonder, was someone in the neighborhood taking my deliveries? It was unsettling to think that someone living so close to me was willing to steal packages off my doorstep. The neighborhood had always seemed like a safe place, and the thought of someone violating that sense of security felt like a betrayal. But there was one neighbor, in particular, who raised my suspicions. Karen. Karen was known in the neighborhood for her constant complaints to the HOA. If someone's lawn was a shade too tall or a mailbox too crooked, Karen was the first to report it. She was always watching, always paying attention to everyone's business. It wasn't hard to imagine her noticing deliveries and deciding they were up for grabs. I didn't have concrete evidence yet, but I had a strong feeling that Karen might be involved. Something about her behavior, her ability to be everywhere at once, made me wonder if she was somehow involved in the thefts. The more I thought about it, the more the pieces seemed to fall into place. It was time to find out for sure. As days passed, I became increasingly convinced that Karen was behind the disappearing packages. The more I observed her, the more the suspicion grew. She was always out on her porch at odd hours, watching the street as if she had an eye on everything going on. It seemed like she was always outside whenever a package arrived. But what really raised my suspicions was how she acted whenever a delivery truck pulled up. She'd often be out watering her plants or tidying up the yard. But as soon as the truck left, she'd retreat into her house, only to reappear shortly after with what appeared to be no intention of greeting the driver. Her sudden re-emergence after a package was delivered felt too coincidental to ignore, and the pattern of stolen packages seemed to align perfectly with her timing. One evening, I decided to set up a small camera on my porch to monitor the situation. It wasn't anything fancy, just a discreet little device that could capture any movement in front of my doorstep. I was determined to catch her in the act. I figured that if I could get some concrete proof, it would be enough to confront her or bring it up to the HOA. A few days later, I got the notification that another package was due to arrive. As usual, I wasn't going to trust the delivery company alone, so I made sure the camera was up and running. Just in case, I tried to stay calm, but my excitement was palpable. After all, I knew this was my chance to catch the thief red-handed. The delivery came on time, and I could see the package placed on the porch in the camera feed. I stayed inside, peeking out the window as the minutes ticked by. And then, like clockwork, Karen appeared outside. She was walking slowly, almost nonchalantly, but her eyes darted toward the porch as soon as she stepped outside. I held my breath as I watched her approach the package. She bent down, grabbed it, and looked around nervously, almost as if she was checking to make sure no one was watching. In that moment, I had my proof. There was no doubt in my mind anymore. Karen had been stealing my packages all along. It was a devastating realization. The quiet, peaceful community I had once felt safe in now felt tainted. And the person I had once believed to be a neighbor was, in fact, A thief. The evidence was right there, captured on camera. Now it was time to confront the situation. After I had caught Karen red-handed on camera, I knew I had to do something. Confronting her directly felt like a risky move, especially since she had already proven to be unpredictable. The HOA, with all its rules and regulations, had always seemed like a place where problems like these should be resolved. But I didn't have much faith that they would actually help. In fact, I had already brought up the issue of stolen packages at the last HOA meeting, and nothing had been done. It was clear to me that if I wanted justice, I'd have to take matters into my own hands. That's when I came across the perfect solution. A glitter bomb. I had heard about glitter bombs in the past, devices designed to release a burst of glitter when triggered, covering everything in a sparkling mess. At first, it sounded like a joke, but as I thought about it more, I realized that it was exactly what I needed. Not only would it be a humorous way to get back at Karen, but it would also send a clear message. The idea of her opening the package, only to be showered in glitter, felt too satisfying to pass up. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about teaching Karen a lesson, while also making sure she wouldn't steal from anyone again. I spent the next couple of days researching glitter bombs online. There were several options, some of which were quite elaborate, with mechanisms that ensured the glitter would go everywhere, even inside a car if the package were transported. I eventually found one that seemed perfect for the situation. It wasn't too expensive, and it was discreet enough that it could blend in with a regular package. The best part, the glitter would be impossible to remove without a huge amount of effort, meaning Karen would be stuck with a glimmering reminder of her actions for days. When the glitter bomb arrived, I carefully packaged it up and placed it in the same spot where I'd left my previous deliveries. I knew Karen would eventually steal it, and when she did, the glitter bomb would be her punishment. As I rigged the package with the glitter device, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. This was it. This was my chance to get back at her for all the frustration and anger she'd caused. The trap was set, and all I had to do was wait for her to make her move. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. It was a bright, sunny afternoon, and my camera was set up on the porch, ready to capture whatever happened next. My heart was racing, but I tried to stay calm and not get too excited. The glitter bomb was in place, and I knew Karen wouldn't be able to resist another opportunity to snatch a package off my doorstep. It was only a matter of time before she made her move. I checked the camera feed every few minutes, making sure everything was in order. Sure enough, just as I had expected, Karen appeared outside. She was walking slowly, her head swiveling back and forth like she was looking for something. It didn't take long before her eyes locked onto the package. She hesitated for a moment, probably wondering if it was just another delivery for someone else. But then her expression changed. I could tell from the way she walked toward the package that she had already made up her mind. She was going to take it. My heart thudded in my chest as I watched her approach the package. The camera caught every moment in perfect detail. She knelt down and grabbed the package, quickly glancing around to see if anyone was watching. The excitement was palpable. I knew this was it. This was the moment when Karen would get exactly what she deserved. I couldn't help but smile, knowing what was about to happen. Karen turned the package over in her hands, almost like she was inspecting it. And that's when I heard it. A faint click. The glitter bomb had been triggered. For a brief second, everything seemed to freeze. And then, with an explosion of colors, the glitter burst out, showering Karen and the entire porch in a dazzling cloud of sparkles. It was as if a rainbow had exploded right in front of her. She let out a surprised yelp, dropping the package as the glitter began to cover her. Her hair, her clothes, and even the surrounding area. For a moment, Karen stood there, stunned and speechless, covered head to toe in glitter. Her arms flailed as she tried to shake off the sparkles. But it was no use. The glitter was everywhere, sticking to her like a permanent reminder of her actions. I watched, barely able to contain my laughter, as she stood there in disbelief, realizing she had just been caught in the most glitter-filled way imaginable. The sight was nothing short of poetic justice. Karen, the self-appointed neighborhood enforcer, was now the one who had to deal with the consequences of her own actions. I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. This was more than just a prank, it was a clear message to her and anyone else who might think about stealing packages in the future. What made it even sweeter was knowing that she had no way of undoing the mess. The glitter was everywhere, and it wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. The aftermath of the glitter bomb incident was both chaotic and satisfying. The following day, Karen showed up at the HOA meeting, her usual pristine appearance completely ruined by the glitter explosion. She walked into the room with a stern expression, but it was impossible to ignore the glitter that covered her clothes, hair, and even her shoes. She looked like she had been struck by a glitter storm. And the sight of her was so absurd that even the most serious members of the HOA couldn't help but exchange glances. But Karen was not amused. She was furious. As she entered the meeting, all eyes were on her as the glitter continued to shimmer and sparkle under the fluorescent lights. Her usual air of control was gone, replaced by frustration and embarrassment. Karen wasted no time in addressing the group. She immediately launched into a tirade, accusing someone of attacking her with a glitter bomb. Her voice was sharp and full of indignation, demanding that the HOA take immediate action against the person responsible for this. Disrespectful, frank, but despite her anger, no one was particularly sympathetic. Some of the residents exchanged amused looks, while others awkwardly shifted in their seats. It was hard to take her seriously when she was covered in sparkles from head to toe. She went on about how she had been the victim of a cruel and childish act. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but think that she was getting exactly what she deserved. The HOA board seemed conflicted. On one hand, they were reluctant to get involved in a petty neighborhood issue. But on the other hand, Karen's complaint was hard to ignore. After all, she had a reputation for being a stickler for rules. And now, here she was, making a scene in front of everyone. Despite her demand for some sort of punishment, the board members were reluctant to take any serious action. They had no proof that the glitter bomb was malicious after all. There was no way to trace it back to me, and Karen's own actions were questionable at best. In the end, the HOA decided to take no action. The meeting ended awkwardly, with Karen glaring at the members who dared to chuckle at her plight. Her complaint was dismissed, and no one offered her any sympathy. But as the meeting adjourned and Karen left the room, it was clear that the real consequence wasn't the HOA's response, it was the fact that Karen had been humiliated in front of everyone. The glitter bomb had not only given her a colorful lesson in respect, but it had also made her the laughingstock of the neighborhood. The sparkles would fade, but the memory of her glitter-covered meltdown would linger for much longer. Enjoyed watching the glitter-filled chaos? Don't miss out on more epic neighborhood drama and pranks. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a wild story, collision package.